stopping by. Hope you're all doing well. Alright, as promised, albums today. It's going to be all sort of new wave punk type stuff. Imagine that. How could that possibly be? Maybe it's because I hold albums back to make a more interesting video. So a lot of this stuff I've been sitting on for a few months. So happy to be able to show it today. And originally I was going to do 13 albums, and I thought, no, I'm a little bit superstitious about 13. Not really, but sort of. And plus today's April Fool's Day, so that's kind of a double whammy. I didn't want to go there. So today is going to be 14 albums. And so let's get going with these. I picked up a majority of these used, if not all of them. Well, I'd say most of them used, and they're all in really good shape. I got some good deals here, so let's see what I got. Okay, the MC5, Live Detroit 68-69, and this album originally came out of Italy in 1988, I believe it was, and this is a reissue of recent years. Limited edition of 550 hand-numbered copies. I got number 417, and it's on red vinyl. This is pretty much like a lot of the MC5 albums that were released during the 90s and 10s. You know, the sound quality is all pretty much the same on those, and this is no exception. It's muddy, but I would rather have it than not have it, and it's got some cool rarities on here. They do some James Brown. They seem to really admire James Brown. So this has got a man's world on it. So very cool. Oh, I was really glad to get this. It's a really clean early pressing of Rock and Roll High School soundtrack. And I've watched this movie a couple of times real recently. It's available for free on Roku right now. So very cool. You know, it's got a lot of Ramones tracks on here live. And it's got a couple of remixes that weirdo Phil Spector did. He did a remix of Rock and Roll High School and I Want You Around. So, yeah, pretty cool, man. I dig it. And it is on, of course, it's on the famous Sire label. Now this next one I got, I'd never seen this in the bins before, and there's a reason behind that. This album, as far as I can tell, was never released in the United States. It was released in various European countries, but never here. And it's the Stranglers live excerpt. And this album came out in 1979. And this is a Canadian pressing. Really clean, nice condition, and it's on the United Artists label. Only thing is, it's missing the color insert that it originally came with, unfortunately. It had photos of the band on it. But I didn't find that out until I got home with it. But I still would, have bought it anyway, because you just don't see this around. It's all live 1977. Majority of it's the same gig at the Roundhouse in England, but there is a few other venues represented on here. Most of it's live 77. There's a couple, like 3 tracks that are live 78. The sound is a little bit muddy. It's probably about what you would expect, but you know, it's punk rock, you know, so that's okay. And yeah, I dig it. It's pretty cool. I would rate it 3 stars. If it wasn't for the sound quality, I'd probably rate it 3.5. This next one, I got this really nice shape for $4 in the bin, so I got a really good deal on it. And it's the Inmates second album, A Shot in the Dark. 1980, I believe this came out. Yeah, 80. It's on the Polydor label. It didn't have any kind of a band insert or anything like that. It's on the red Polydor label. And yeah, really clean, nice shake, good album. Probably not as good as their first album, but they do a really, one of the highlights to me, even though it's a cover version, is they do a cover of Music Machine's Talk Talk on here. And they rearranged it slightly, and so there's a little bit of surprise element in the way they presented it, but they did a really good job of that. It doesn't stand out as strong as their cover version of Dirty Water from the first album, but yeah, a really cool UK pub rock band that was sort of also into that garage vein. So very, very glad to get that. Okay, this is the third album by Gang of Four, 1982. And the band took a departure for this album. It's a lot different from the first two albums. I like it. It doesn't have the same gritty vibe as the first album for sure, but it's still very good. I like it. And the album that came after this, I've never heard it, but I heard it's just terrible. And it's on the Warner Brothers label. The next one, I saw this at the Antique Mall, and I got it at the same time that I got that Stranglers album. I got them from the same vendor. And I'd never seen this before, and it looked really interesting. And it's the Pixies Valoria. And it's from the Bossa Nova album, which I never bought. I bought all the Pixies up through This Monkey's Gone to Heaven, and then I lost interest into the band. So I never did buy this album. The Pixies have like a ton of non-album B-sides, and this has got 3 of those. Make Believe, The Thing, and a cover version of I've Been Waiting for You that Kim Deal sings, and it's got a really big, loud production on it. Way different from Neil Young's version. But yeah, pretty cool. And I found out after I got this, well, I noticed on the back it said right here at the bottom, it's actually printed onto the cover, promotional copy, not for sale. And I looked at the labels are not promotional. They don't say promotional. And I got home and I found out that this was only released on CD in the United States. The only way it was released on vinyl was promo. So pretty cool. So this did come out in Europe, you know, on as a 12-inch EP, but not in the States. So this is pretty cool. Cool find. This next one, Stan Ridgway, Camouflage, 12-inch EP from 1986. And this is from his, I believe it's from his first solo album, The Big Heat. Yeah, and it's got Camouflage, which is a pretty good hit in the UK. And then it's got an instrumental that was usually found on the B-sides of 45s. And then it's got a really good non-album track called Stormy Side of Town. So yeah, I was looking through Discogs at this, and it came in with different covers. It came with different B-sides. Yeah, it's just all over the place. So yeah, this was a very cool find, and I got a really good deal on it at the Antique Mall from a different seller than what I was talking about earlier. Now this next one, Michael over at Near Wild Heaven showed this, and I had seen it in the bin, but I didn't really want to pop on it at the time. And then he showed his copy and he said, yeah, this is really good album. It's one of the better ones that I have. And so that was good enough for me, and I went and got it. It's Dead Moon, Dead Ahead. This was originally issued in 2004, and this is a 2024 reissue on Mississippi Records. The original is on Tombstone. Yeah, he was not lying about it. This is just really, really good album. I have a few other Dead Moon records. I haven't really got into like comparing them or anything, but yeah, I would say this is definitely one of their better albums as far as I can tell. So, very cool. This next one I was really happy to get. It's a US reissue of the first OMD album. And it comes with a different cover. There's a lot of cover variants for this album throughout the world. And the UK cover was quite different from this, but it was based on the same sort of design. So this is a 1987 reissue, but it's the first pressing for the United States. So it took 7 years for the United States to get this album, which is really crazy. But yeah, they reissued this album, the first one, and they also reissued the second album in '87. So yeah, I'm looking for the second album. So Virgin Records, no inner sleeve or anything with it. So nice. And then I got this one. I've been looking for this album for a long time. B-52's Mesopotamia. And I don't know what it is, but this album is hard to find clean original in the bins. I've been looking and looking and looking. I finally found a near mint early pressing, US. So, and I got a smoking deal on it. So, very, very cool. Yeah, originally it was planned to be a full-length album. The band was pressured to get it out right away by management or whatever, and so they had to release it with only looks like 6 tracks. So yeah, I remember when I bought this originally, and I was a little bit disappointed in it. It's sort of a grower, but you just can't, it's really not comparable to their first 2 albums. Now this one you don't see very often in the bins either. And it's Gary Newman Dance. This is an original US pressing. Now I remember hearing this back in the day one time. My friend of mine had it, but I never bought it. It's good. It's a good solid album, but he seemed to be getting to the point where he was running out of fresh ideas. So it's kind of just more of the same of what he's already done. But like I say, it's still pretty good, and I would rather have it than not have it. So it's actually a pretty good one. Oh, and this one did come with an inner sleeve. Okay, I got 3 more here, and these are Arizona records, and this first one I'd seen around before, but I didn't like the condition that it was in, so I actually passed on it. So I got a really nice, clean, actually it's a clean, promotionally stickered copy, and a lot of you probably don't know this album. Although it's a really good album, strong, excellent album, a lot of people just don't seem to have much interest in it or know about it. This originally came out of Tucson. This is a Tucson band. Come out in 1982 on Art Attack Records, and which was a Tucson label. And these guys were really good. In fact, they did one promo. This is their only album. And they they did a promo album, or a promo song for this album called Alien, and I will try and link in the video for that in my comments, so look for that. It's really good. This band featured Lee Joseph on bass and keyboards. He was the founder of Dionysus Records, and I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with that label. And he was also in like Yard Trauma, and he was in some bands, and yeah, he was quite the guy. So yeah, this is just really good stuff. It's kind of like if the Dead Boys were a little bit more, it's got that punk attitude, but it's like if the Dead Boys were a little bit more pop and new wavy. It's kind of what it's like. So yeah, very, very cool. And the next Arizona album I got, this is really local record here, and it's Rabid Rabbit, and it came out in 1987. This is like alternative, late 80s alternative rock, experimental alternative rock. And I'd seen it around back in the day, and it was, you know, it was always like $6, $7. I just didn't figure it would be worth, or you know, it would be that good. So and plus I looked at the pictures of the guys on the back, and it was like, yeah, I don't know about that. But anyway, I found out later that this was like a really, really good album. Two of the band members have passed on. The lead singer and their drummer is Bam Bam, and after he was the original drummer for Jodie Foster's Army. So when he left JFA, he joined this band, and he actually died last year. So rest in peace, Bam Bam. But yeah, this is really good. Actually, it's got, you know, it's almost like they were kind of going for that Los Angeles alternative sound. In fact, this album came out 2 weeks before the first Jane's Addiction album came out. And the second track on here, Emerald, that has got vocal phrasing just like Jane's Addiction. So I don't know if that was by accident or if they saw Jane's live and, you know, got some inspiration, but this, from what I read on the internet, this came out right before the first Jane's Addiction album came out. So cool, and Arizona has an eyeball cover. And this last one is the most recent album by JFA called Last Ride. Now that's not any implication that this would be the band's last album, because they've made clear that that is not going to be the case. So yeah, this is pretty solid. I would rate it 3 stars. This is a Zia Records colored vinyl exclusive. It's red vinyl with white splatter, and it came out in June of 2023. Limited edition of 200 copies. And yeah, I got one of the last copies around, so you know, I was kind of dragging my heels on getting it, but I thought, man, I'd better get it before they're gone. You know, it was released in black vinyl as a normal edition, you know, but this is the local colored vinyl Zia Records exclusive, so cool. Alright, that's going to do it for today's showing. Hope you enjoyed those, and can't say when my next video will be. I'm trying to be cautious about spending a lot of money on records, but you know, when you're in the store and you're holding it in your hand, it's really hard to walk away. You know, I'm sure all of you know the feeling. But I'm trying to keep my records down to maybe $20, $25 at the most per record. Well, that's going to do it, everybody, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the future. Bye.